Tashitele. Hi, my name is Kiki, and I'm a food content creator sharing Tibetan recipes, culinary stories, and Tibetan food history. Today, the video I'm going to show you is going to be for a recipe for an ingredient that's an integral part of the Tibetan cuisine as well as our cultural identity. But before I do that, let me share a little bit of the aspiration behind my culinary journey and my YouTube cooking channel. I didn't always look at Tibetan cuisine as a cultural preservation tool. In fact, as a new immigrant in the United States, I was very eager to assimilate and blend in as much as I could and rarely even ate Tibetan food in the beginning. My journey to celebrate Tibetan food representation only began upon motherhood, when I found myself gravitating towards Tibetan food to connect with and reassert my Tibetan identity. That desire to connect to my mixed daughters about their Tibetan side using my cuisine as a gateway, it quickly evolved into food pop-up events because it allowed me to grow my efforts for cultural representation and preservation from my household to my local community. The response, the interest from my local community, it was overwhelming, and it's what encouraged me to grow my efforts even more to reach a global audience through social media, where I use visual storytelling to promote and preserve my Tibetan culture and heritage using food. For me, food is a beautiful gateway to learn about other cultures. I love watching cooking and travel documentaries, and it's what inspired me to begin my YouTube cooking channel, where I can now own the narrative of my story and cultural identity as a Tibetan, and also help sow the seeds of cultural preservation along the way through my cooking as a Tibetan refugee and as an immigrant. So it really is a great honor to be here with you today in celebration of the 25-year anniversary of Tibet Fest and share with you a recipe that's very important to Tibetan cultural identity as well as our cuisine. Tsampa. The first step for making a tsampa or roasted barley flour is to rinse a barley. Here I'm using pearl barley, which is one of the options that you'll find in the market. It has a shorter cooking time than the other options you may find. If you want a healthier option, you can go with the hull-less kind. So I'm rinsing my barley. And once I've rinsed, I'm going to soak this barley and have it soaked overnight. Alright, now that we've soaked the barley, we're going to remove any excess water that's left. Drain all the water. And then we're going to prepare and layer. Spread out the grains into a thin layer so that way it dries evenly and quickly. Yeah, spread out the grains. And then we're going to take it outside. If you have sunny days as we are having in Oregon, dry it out in the sun. It shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. That was Coco, my dog, by the way. So yeah, depending on the weather you have, use your discretion on when it's ready. Your goal is to make sure that the barley grains are damp, not wet, damp. Alright, the important part. Let's roast a barley. Let's make a tsampa. Turn on the stove on high heat and make sure your sand gets really, really hot. And you can toss around the sand a little bit to make sure that the heat is evenly distributed because it's what's going to protect your barley from burning. Add the barley and we're going to be stirring a whole lot for the next few minutes. Keep stirring so it doesn't burn. And the grain will start separating from the sand, you'll see? Just like that. And you'll hear little popping sounds before you know it's ready. Gonna sift the grain from the sand. And you'll want to do this at least a couple of times to make sure you don't get any sand in your particles in your grain.
자스 모두냐 다 작은 보상에 뒤 소겸예 알아봐자 요냐 믿고 파유 고투유의 청구디 기증아 듣고요 통구도 그러다 나 모두 범해 내가 지능아야 현재 도유 그러다 독세는 뜨가 군유두의 아웨이 비명을 인사 내 비춘다 뒤집다 연투의 각보 참사 쌤다 년다 럭공아 사단간의 레버이 커진 그주 짬바산의 매지 짬바산야미
Here's my favorite way to eat tsampa. We call it chamdu. Here are the ingredients to make chamdu. Starting off with changamu or slightly sweetened milk tea, some tsampa or roasted barley flour, butter, and this is chuship, a dry, crunchy, very unique Tibetan cheese made from the milk of a female yak. Start off with some tsampa. Add some butter, of course. Some chuship to give that nice bite to your chamdu. A little bit of sugar if you'd like to sweeten. And we pour our changamu to mix all the ingredients. There's a Tibetan instant porridge, so delicious. Anyway, keep adding the changamu until you achieve a porridge-like consistency. Here's the traditional Tibetan baby's first solid food, and still my favorite food as a mother. It really is delicious. This is my Belit Popula's favorite way of eating tsampa. We call it ba. Start off with some chapuja, or Tibetan buttered tea. You can use black tea if you want. Add some tsampa, or roasted barley flour. Gotta have the butter. Add some chuship, gives a nice bite to the ba as well. Then using your clean fingers, you mix around the ingredients. And unlike the chamdu, with the ba, you want a cookie dough-like consistency. Take a fistful and squeeze them into shape, yeah, just like that. Traditionally, ba would be eaten as a substitute to rice, or to pale, bread that is. It might not look very appetizing, but it's very delicious with a nutty, slightly nutty flavor profile, and very nutritious and filling as well. It is typically paired with a meat radish stew like this, and some homemade sipping or hot sauce to dip the ba in. And of course, we have a ba ready. So here's a snapshot of a very traditional Tibetan meal with tsampa in it. Vichana, and thank you so much for joining me in the 25-year anniversary celebration of Tibet Fest. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make tsampa and what tsampa means to Tibetans. If you are interested in learning further about Tibetan cuisine and culture, you're welcome to join me in my YouTube cooking channel, which is under the name Himalayan Dumplings. Thank you so much for watching, and you take care. Vichana. 뒤집다 연투의 각보 참사 쌤다 년다 럭공아 짜단간의 레버이 커진 그주 짬바산의 매지 짬바산야미 나쁘네 레버이 나쁘네 레버 짬바산야미지 나쁘네 레버 짬바산야미 나쁘네 레버 부루 나쁘네 레버 짬바산야미 나쁘네 레버 부루 Tsampa punga songsi gamba kewa Saka dawa laya shachi saye guchi gonda Tsampa sanyi kamba poso tachi in the way Lega meka shady soya nyeki lega in Lakpa namla kanda kesi tsampa sanyi ina Godi yuda DJ guchi shady goni tanda Lodi seda godi yada ona parchi gada Urdi game tada badu purdi nyene desha Suji sida peva shungi gyapla nene desha Tanda badu sana deyu punga pama pesha Madi keke chago meme lotunga ye pesa Reta me akela milla kabi mere jesa Desa köki öri inne dose ngazu hasa Dokta çıktı yinde çıkla dokti gelmeda Namla doji